champions.
Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on a Wednesday night, starting a few minutes early tonight because I was watching the Bleacher Brothers show tonight and I saw that the golf show that usually precedes me was not on the night. So I decided to start a little earlier tonight here. So we are going to start here and we'll get things underway here on this October the 2nd. Let me just change one thing here because we are in Red October mode here, and there we go. Uh, you know, going to get through the night here, talk some sports here, give a little recap on the day's action so far. We have the AL wildcard series are done. I'll give thoughts on that. The National League is in progress. One may be ending tonight. The other one is in doubt as of yet, but we'll see what happens with that. And got some updates on Fernando Valenzuela as well. And you know, I'll give you some thoughts on that, and whatever comes up as well. So feel free to chime in, and maybe we will uh, get we'll talk some other things as well here. Um, so I do want to start out, and I did get some things done around the apartment, but I didn't get enough done, so I'm not over at the dining room table yet. That's going to be probably done this weekend. Thankfully, I only got 2 more days of work before the weekend. I almost said vacation. No, my vacation is not for another 2 months, dumbass. But I call myself a dumbass a lot of times. But like I told my buddy Mike today when the first baseball game was on, um, he thought that Houston lost 4 games in a row at home. I said, no, it's 6 going into the bottom half of the eighth. I said, I saw it on the bottom of the screen. My hooked on phonics were for me, but we'll get into that in a second here. Um, but I do want to vent a little bit to start off the show here because um, the one thing I did today, I did a couple of things. Got a little things done. I had to get the kitchen caught up with some of the things I had to get done and doing a couple of things around here. So I didn't really get a chance to do everything I wanted. So about 6 o'clock, I ran to the store, and um, first of all, they did not let SJ in because she was there with me in spirit, and they said no, we can't allow short people in a place called Giant. So I'm kidding. She's up there. She's up there in New England, and I'm here in the Mid Atlantic. I like to joke around, see if I get her to get a good laugh right now. Um, and I'm sure if she was streaming, she can make fun of me all she wants. I'm glad to be her punching bag. But seriously, went to Giant today, and you can tell I have matured over the last 10, 20, 30 years. Because I had a I had a scratch off ticket that I had to cash, and it was only $40. It wasn't like I was buying a scratch off at some corner store, then saying, "Well, the supermarket has the money more than these mom and pop liquor stores or anything like that. So let me go to a supermarket." But there was a reason behind it because I was like, "Well, I need to get a couple of things at the store, and they give me the $40. I'm happy. I can do some shopping, and I'm set for probably up until the weekend because of the fact that, um, you know, the way I buy things and everything." So went to the store and went to the customer service counter, and I don't know if it's, I don't know if it was. See, I don't know how to read how this person was uh, giving me all different answers here. Now, the first thing that happened was I went there, I went to give her the ticket, and she goes, "How much is that ticket worth?" And the way that the scratch off tickets are, at least in Pennsylvania, not only are the the smaller dollar amounts, you have smaller tickets, and then the tickets also get bigger with the price of the ticket. So I bought a $20 ticket about a week or two ago, and I got $40 back. So I'm like, all right, well, doubled my money, and I had it sitting on my desk, and if I don't cash it within the next week or two, it's going to get buried there, and I'm going to be going on to the app like 15 times saying, "Is this a winner? Is this not a winner?" Because, like I told you at the beginning of the year, some of the tips that I had for gambling is keep losing tickets, like losing lottery tickets, because let's say you have to claim a winning a winning ticket at the racetrack, or you hit big off a slot machine or whatever, something that requires Uncle Sam to get involved, you can claim losses up to that winner. So that's why I keep those losing tickets. And, it's a tradition unlike any other, like the Masters, where on December 31st, that envelope gets cleaned out. The post-it that's on there, I scratch out 2024 and I put 2025 on there, and boom, we're ready for the new year. So, but it was only $40 ticket. I understand why they questioned how much the winning ticket is, because, they don't want to have a lot of money at the in these registers, because you never know. Living in a city like Philadelphia, supermarkets do get robbed. So, um, so I go and I look. So I give her the thing, and she goes, "Oh, you gotta run it through the machine, and they'll give you it'll give you a voucher and bring it back." And after she says that, she goes, "Oh wait, you won't be able to cash it because our machine's not working." I'm like, huh? So here's the thing to me. First of all, the girl, it's the first time I've seen that girl in the customer service area. But then again, with a store like Giant, you do have all kinds of doofuses in that customer service area that probably would never that never should be there. So maybe she's just covering for somebody or whatever. But the fact that she's telling me one thing and then she's telling me something else, I'm just like, well, your store just lost getting that $40 back, because I was probably going to spend $40 in groceries, but now I'm going across the parking lot to Acme, going to spend a little bit more money because they're more expensive, because Acme will say, "Oh, it's because of the union that is there, the union wages." No, it's not the union wages. It's because you're ripoffs. But but the one thing is, you look at some of the things that go on at Acme. You know, you compare prices and stuff like that. Um, the uh, you like one thing I like to buy is a 1 liter bottle of seltzer, because after I have my morning coffee, my morning 2 cups of coffee, I like to wash it down like a half an hour later and start working on a bottle of seltzer, because get that taste away, because I need the caffeine to wake me up. But I also you get to a point where the taste, after you get through a second cup of coffee, it's like, ugh. So a lot of times I buy 3, 4, 5 bottles of seltzer at a time. Well, store brand seltzer, 1 liter at Giant is 59 cents. Acme is 99 cents. So I didn't buy them, but that's the idea here of, like for example, store brand stuff. Giant store brand is less than the Acme store brand, because Acme will blame it on unionism. But I got the same opening line from the girl behind the customer service counter at Acme, and rightfully so, because you never know. Um, I could, I could have played dumb and said, I don't know, I just know it's a winner. Or I could have been super smart ass and said, well, let me check my phone and scan it on the phone, be like, here, $40. So, so I didn't have to scan the ticket. Now, every store has their own rules. Some stores just don't have the self-serve machines. They just have the one machine and they just ask you how much it is. I understand why they say it. Now, if you're going to tell me that your machines are down, well, first of all, I would say if your machine is down, then your self-serve machines would be down too, because you're probably going on a LAN line or a T1 line or whatever to get that data from here to Harrisburg and back. Well, actually Middletown, where the office is. So somewhere along the way, this turned out that it was like, oh, we can't cache it. Now I call bullshit because because my thinking is, if you can't cache it here, I can't cache it around the corner, on the other side of the parking lot where Acme is. But cashed the ticket, no problem. Got my $40 after I told her it's a $40 winner. Boom, done. Got my money, went around the store, got a couple of things I needed, came home. I'm happy as I can be, and but I'm just like, why'd you have to do something stupid like that and lie to me? She just didn't want to help me. I mean, did something? I mean, should I have should I have gone full-fledged Kevin? Hi, SJ. I'm venting about my trip to the supermarket today. But you were there because they kicked you out because, you know, you're like yay high and the place is called Giant, so they didn't let you in, remember? Wink wink. No, I'm only kidding. Uh I'm trying to make her laugh, okay? And she can make fun of me when she starts streaming again, whatever that is. But pineapple, pineapple, pineapple. Or do you want me to get it? Well, they did. Well, SJ, I'll let you decide on that. So, but A Duke 02 is a new follower, but uh, we'll see. Uh, but um, but seriously, um, yeah, I just feel like I got lied to, and because I got lied to, the one store where I could have got my groceries a lot cheaper, they lost money out on me because I was just going to recycle that money into getting groceries there. But instead, I had to go to the more expensive one because you basically lied to me. Um, so I'm not happy, but I wasn't happy that I had to go around the corner. But, you know, I think if my mom were still alive, if my dad was still alive, I would think that they would have been very proud of me that I just pushed my cart, put it back where the carts are, walked out the door, didn't say a word, didn't go full fledged Kevin or Karen. And I said, man, you lost my money for today. Bye bye. So that was everything in a nutshell there. So that was my night tonight. I did that while the second game was going on today because I just need to get to the store. So that was the little mini rant and also the fact that I am maturing a little bit in my old age. So, um, but um, but I'm just peeking at my phone here real quick. But anyways, so the American League field is set for the divisional round. Um, we have the Tigers winning today. Um, Detroit beat the Houston Astros 5-2 today to win the series um, 2-0. And this is the first time in 8 years that the Houston Astros will not be in the American League Championship Series. And I asked this question before I go into the details of the game. And even if you're watching or listening after the fact, feel free to hit me up at Joe Quills. Um, do you think that um, um, do you feel that this is the end of an era in Houston? Because, I mean, in a way, all good things must come to an end. Even SJ has experienced it with her Yankees. You know, she saw her team getting to the playoffs year after year. Then they missed a couple of years, and now they're back. But the Houston Astros, whether you think they're the biggest bunch of cheaters known to man, or they are just a team that had a little bit of a dynasty, but not really. But the fact that they got to the AL Championship 8 years, 7 years in a row, is an amazing feat, especially in this era where a lot of times you have to win 2 rounds to get to the league championship series, like they would have had to do this year. But um, but Detroit does advance, and they're reminding me a lot of the 2022 Phillies, who got hot in the second half of the year, rode it till playoff berth, uh, upset St. Louis 2 straight. Then they played against Atlanta. Phillies won in 4. Then they beat the Padres in 5 to get the World Series, and then lost to the um, Astros in the World Series. So um, the Tigers were my pick, and SJ can prove SJ. If SJ wants to, she can look up my bracket that I posted in our contest. I do have the Phillies over the Tigers winning the World Series this year, and the the Tigers have the exact opposite of what the Phillies had when it came to playoff experience. The Phillies had playoff experience in 2022. They had Schwarber, they had Turner, they had Harper. Uh, you had a couple other guys there that had the experience of October baseball, but and even though Rob Thompson had experience as a bench coach, he didn't have the decision. He didn't have the experience as the number one guy in the dugout as a manager. It's the opposite with the Tigers because they only had 12 games of experience in the postseason compared to Houston's almost 600. And I think those 12 games of experience came from Matt Vierling, who came through for me today. Um, and if you follow me on Rebet, you did see that I gave out 3 winners so far today. Um, Also, um, you know, you could just tell that the life that was in that stadium in the top of the eighth after Houston took the lead when they were scratching and clawing and doing whatever they could to get runs, they couldn't hold off the Tigers. And the Tigers scored 4 runs in the eighth. Andy Ibanez hit a bases clearing double in the eighth inning um, for that 5-2 win today. Parker Meadows hit a home run in the sixth, gave them the lead. Um, but it's, I mean, I didn't look at this factor, but I just looked at the momentum of the Tigers going 32-13 in their last 55 games. Um, the one thing I did look at, even though I knew that this was the case here, AJ Hinch was the manager of the 2017 champion Astros, who was later fired because of that whole cheating scandal. But, you know, I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at other things like just the hot team at the right time because that's what Major League Baseball has become. It has become a lot like the NHL, and SJ is back. And I took care of that. Um, well, I'll show you what it is because it's deleted on there because I just didn't like the way it looked. And I'd rather, this is what came up here. So I think it was a spammer, but hopefully it was a spammer, not somebody I have to unban because I'm now a dick. But hey, whatever. But that's what came up here, SJ. So, um, but how about the Central Division? Because we'll get to Kansas City in a few moments, but the division we laughed at the last couple of years has three of the four teams in the ALDS this year. Kansas City won today, which we'll get to. Cleveland had the bye, and Detroit gets in. So you're looking almost at what is the AL Central Invitational here. And it should be interesting to see what's going to happen here over the next week as those series start on Saturday. The Yankees have the night game, I believe, the 7 o'clock game or 6:30, I think it is. I know that the 2024 World Champion Phillies start play at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and I will be all decked out Saturday morning for Also Eligible. So join me for that. Which reminds me, I got to text my boy Frank, see if he wants to come on the show for Also Eligible this week. But um, so the Tigers will go to Cleveland. Now, the one thing is, so far, and even though I will tell you guys, because I am a bit of a statistics nerd, so to speak, I want to see a few more years of this format, unless MLB decides to expand. I want to see a couple more years of this format because I think what's going to happen, I think there's a possibility of course correction with the way that these top two seeds the last 2 years have been losing in the divisional round. And, you know, I understand everybody complains that it's we got a tie game in Milwaukee right now. Churio just hit a second home run. So it's 3-3 there. San Diego's up 5-2 bomb in the fifth. So the one thing I will tell you is, and I don't even know what I was talking about here. This is why I need somebody just for this, even when Mondays come around, and I have an update on that coming up in a couple of moments as well. Um, you know, but the Tigers, they proved they're for real, and you got the three Central teams. They're proving that the Central Division wasn't a joke this year, and be interesting to see what happens here. Um, but I know SJ will be watching her Yankees on Saturday, and I'll be watching my Fightins begin their quest for another for their first title in 16 years, and hopefully, and I moved the shirt. Damn it. Uh, but but yeah, we'll see what happens. And I did get um, I did correctly predict the Detroit Tigers to win, but I had Kansas City. So, but that is what's going on in Detroit. Um, it was the first. Andy Ibanez became the first player in Tigers history with a pinch hit go-ahead hit in the postseason. Now, in the American League, especially with the fact that that god awful designated hitter was in the American League since the early to mid 70s, you never really pinch hit for anybody in the American League. And, that's something that AJ Hinch used to his advantage, and it got them, helped get them by Houston and on to the next round. And, I think Detroit has a great chance of upsetting Cleveland because of the fact that AJ Hinch has been there before. And Detroit is playing with house money right now. And if they beat Cleveland, who knows? You could see them facing whoever in the World Series in a couple of weeks. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. But Houston, they lost their seventh straight postseason game at home, which is pretty amazing because that stadium can be pretty intimidating and loud. Just because when you close that roof, the noise has nowhere to go. You can just, you get a bunch of people yelling at once like they did here. Rah, 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 and it just bounces all over the stadium. It does not escape. So, you do they do have that advantage, and the roof was closed today. Yeah, I don't know what the weather was in Houston today. Could have been 105 for all I know, because I know California, Nevada, that area, they've been getting hit with extreme heat, like all-time highs in October, according to what I saw. But um, you know, they have they have a home advantage by having that roof closed, especially in October. But they lose to Detroit here. Um, but yeah, I mean, a 7-year run that they had is now over. But and you just got to wonder, is this the end of the line for this group of Astros? Verlander was even on the wild card roster. Um, Bregman's a free agent. It's a question if he's going to stay or go. You got to. They got a lot of decisions to make this off season, but the advantage that they do have, if they really want to draw free agents to Houston, besides winning year after year, is the fact that Texas does not have a state income tax. So, instead of, the normal person paying 25% sales tax and then maybe an additional 6 or 7, you just pay the federal tax every year. You don't you pay the federal income tax, but you don't pay the state income tax. So that does come into play sometimes with these free agents. And they're smart enough and they want to win, and they want to get into a rivalry with the Texas Rangers, which kind of fell off this year. But both sides had injuries and everything else. It could be back in full force next year. Who knows? But Houston, um, you know, I'm sure a lot of Astros fans are pretty much wondering what the hell are we supposed to do now, because you know this is the earliest that they have finished playing baseball in Houston in 8 years, and it's it's weird. It's weird not seeing Houston uh, in the divisional round. So, but and the one thing I will tell you guys with Houston, and you can rip me one if you want, including SJ. Um, I just feel that even though we all now know about the cheating scandal that Houston had, They had to win Game 7 on the road when they did not have their spying equipment with them in LA. So even though they had the equipment for the games 3, 4, and 5 of the World Series, they still had to go out there and win that Game 7, which they did. So I give them a little bit of credit, and probably more credit than some people do, because a lot of people will just say, "Oh, they cheated." Well, yeah, they cheated, but you know, but cheating is cheating. So but I still give them some credit for that. Now, Baltimore got eliminated today by the Kansas City Royals, who made a huge turnaround this year from their 106 loss season last year. So if you're the Chicago White Sox, maybe there's some hope that maybe in 2 years you can get back into a wild card race, but we'll see about that. But Bobby Witt beat out an infield single to drive in a go-ahead run to give the Royals the 2-1 lead, which turned out to be the final score. Um, and you just got to wonder, and I wonder with Baltimore. And once again, feel free to chime in, because I'm not the type of person who's you know going to say you're wrong. But um, Baltimore to me seems like they're a rudderless ship right now, and I'm going to compare them right now with the 1976 to 79 Phillies. Well, let's go 76 to 78, because 79 they took a step back before they made the final step forward to win their first World Series. And SJ's like, "Oh my God, will you stop comparing to all these Phillies teams?" But the Baltimore Orioles have lost 5 games in a row over the last 2 years. They got swept by Texas last year, 3 straight. They got swept in 2 straight by Kansas City this year. There's something that's missing right now with that team. And I really thought this year, and and I don't completely follow the the I don't completely follow the Baltimore Orioles. So, but I do see what's going on and all that. But it just seems like the Baltimore Orioles need a Pete Rose type, in terms of a guy who's won a couple of World Series recently. The owners, I mean, you got a new ownership crew, and this is their first full offseason with the new ownership group. So maybe they'll spend a little more. So maybe that'll happen. But you obviously want to keep in mind um, you want to keep your core together. Get a couple of pieces that's going to help you to get to October, actually win games in October, whether it's winning a game in the wild card round or winning two so you can get to the next round, and get to that that next round, whether it's going from wild card to divisional or divisional to championship series. It just looks to me that they're a rudderless ship right now. And I just think that they don't have the guy who will go to them and say, "Hey, listen, I've been through this, ride my back, whatever." But in this case, I mean, they did have Corbin Burns, but he's going to be a free agent. But I think you need one more one more star player that has been through the wars as a hitter as well. You know, you can't have enough you can't have enough good people. And that's the thing. Not only do you have to have people that have gone through the wars, you have to have people that are going to blend with your young core that you have there. Like, for example, the Phillies. They got a great clubhouse presence. whether it's walking in the door and the first person you see is Bryce Harper welcoming you to the locker room and to the team, or just the whole camaraderie that they have, and you know Garrett Stubbs being the guy who uh, is the DJ, and all the different things that they do, and it's like okay, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat all 26 of us, not just one person. But you get the idea. But it just seems like to me, as an outsider, Baltimore probably needs one or two veterans who will say, "Hop on my back, I'll get you through this." And they don't have that right now. Pete Rose in 1979, when he signed in Philly, he I remember him saying in many interviews back when he was in Philly, or when they were doing these Philly World Series reviews about the '80 Phillies and all that. He basically said that when he came to Philly, he turned Mike Schmidt into being the best player in the game 3 days a week to being the best player on the field 7 days a week. And the Phillies just needed somebody who was the guy that can get them over the top. And and I think that SJ can argue that with her Celtics, who won the championship last year. She could tell me probably this person was the guy that they really needed, or she could just say, hey, they just needed to win. They just needed to get by whoever they needed to get by. But I just think with Baltimore, it's just that they they just seem like having all these guys is great, but you need like one or two guys who will help steer them in the right direction. And but it's a tough loss for them. The second straight year. Um, Bobby Witt is the second player aged 24 or younger to have a game-winning RBI in each of his team's first two games of a postseason since RBIs became an official stat in 1920. The only other person was Jimmy Fox in 1929. Kansas City somehow got into the playoffs despite two seven-game losing streaks over the final month of the season. They are going to play SJ's Yankees starting on Saturday. Go Royals. Just want to see what you'd say. Uh, but first game is Saturday in the Bronx, and they have all four games of the divisional series on Saturday. And the reason why that they do that is because when they do that, they want to get those teams on buys on the field as quickly as possible after these series end. So, and that's why it's Saturday, because you give them an off day after, like, let's say this game here, which dramatically changed into Milwaukee's favor, leading 5-3 in the ninth. You plan each series, you plan this as a 3-game series. And so you play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday's a travel day for the surviving teams, and then you play on Saturday. So, but in order to then um, alternate days off and everything like that, the American League this year is the league that plays Saturday, day off Sunday, play again Monday, off again Tuesday. It's just so that they get everybody on the field as quickly as possible that have buys, but then you in the American League you got a day off. So it does seem weird, but I understand why. Um, but um, but according to this article from ESPN, Baltimore has actually lost 10 straight games in the postseason. I mean, that's pretty hard to do, but they have done that. Um, but it looks like they're gonna start. It looks like they're gonna start Michael Waka, aka Waka Waka, Waka Waka Waka. He's gonna be starting game one, it appears. Um, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, Kansas City can get on the right foot there. But I know SJ is saying, no, you want the Yankees to win. No, I do not. Um, what am I looking for here? So the one thing I would say is, we should have two great American League Division Series games. Um, I like Detroit, and I get the feeling that the spotlight is going to be way too bright for the Kansas City Royals. But if the Royals can pull off that upset, that what will lack in star power for the ALCS will make up for it in good young talent playing the game. But that'll be the case there. But um, okay, so Milwaukee. I'm back. Something happened with the EV Mux where all of a sudden it started sinking. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm talking here. But um, so I don't know what happened there, but probably internet related. But I'm back here. So, um, but I don't even know what I was talking about. But yeah, all I know is Milwaukee did win. So there is going to be a game three. So that's going to benefit the Phillies. So these two teams can beat the hell out of each other, hopefully for about 35 innings, so that they don't fly into Philly until Friday night and they can't even practice. But um, but San Diego is up 5-2, and I don't have my remote on me, so I can't change the channel. What the hell? But um, but we'll see what happens with this, and But I think Kansas City, they're going to be the spotlight's going to be too bright for them, at least for this year, and it may be too bright for Detroit as well, but they probably thought that San Diego was going to pound the Phillies and the Braves are going to pound the Phillies in 2022, and we know what happened there. They got to the World Series and lost. So that is what's going on there. Um, do want to bring up this story here, and this is a little concerning here because I've actually seen some photos, and um, I like Conor McGregor on the picture. I said, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Um, and I don't know what's going on. Everything's going goofy tonight. If you're watching on Twitch, just hit that refresh button. If you're on X or yeah, there's network errors and things going on. So I don't know what's going on. I do apologize. Um, but everything says I'm live. But um, but I think I'm still live on X and on YouTube. So um, let me see here. And I apologize here because all of a sudden I'm playing tech support here. Um, okay, so it does look like I'm still live on X, so that's good. Whoops. Um, so it looks like everything's good on there. So I'm just double checking everything here before I continue. But for whatever reason, things are going goofy